heck?
Oh, hey, Taryl, how you doing?
What the heck are you doing?
Oh, I got this chainsaw I need you to look at.
We don't work on chainsaws anymore. We quit working on all that handheld stuff. No weed eaters, chainsaws, leaf blowers. Sorry.
Oh, since when?
About 4 or 5 years ago, we quit working on all that stuff.
Oh, come on.
No, sorry. Plus, that thing's too old.
Well, I bought this in the early 70s. I've had it for a long time.
Yeah, it looks like it. What put the tape on the trigger there?
Oh, that's the cruise control, hey?
Belongs in a dumpster or in a museum.
Oh,
or
no,
hanging on the wall in the Applebee's.
I don't think so, Taryl. You're gonna take a look at this for me, all right?
Easy, old man. Take it easy.
Come on, help me out, Taryl. I put a new spark plug in it, and it just won't fire.
All right, Skippy, I'll look at it since you're such a good customer and you bought probably $5,000 in spark plugs over the years.
All right, great.
I'll see if I can get her going, the old girl.
Well, if you get it going, Taryl, I'll buy you a beef sandwich for lunch.
Oh, yeah? Are you going to do like you did the last time and buy me a beef sandwich and then you didn't get me any fries?
Oh, I'm sorry, Taryl, but I did get you fries last time. They just smelled so good on the ride home, I couldn't stop eating them all. Maybe I could just hang out and watch you work on it.
You're scared of inner tubes, aren't you? Get out of here before I throw this inner tube at you.
Oh. Give me a buzz when it's ready, okay?
Pterodactyl here. Today's video is going to be on this antique Craftsman 2.3 PSVL chainsaw, which has got this power sharp feature on it, and we're going to try to get this thing running. All right, now I said it was a Craftsman, but all right, wait for it. Craftsman didn't make anything. They're a store. We get this all the time, people. I got a Craftsman. I got a Craftsman. No, they didn't make it. Somebody made it for them. They just have it branded for them. This is actually made by Fulla, and this is from the early 70s. And this model saw came in like 3 different colors. Came in a blue, a yellow, and a red. And it's a 2.3 cubic inch, which is about 38 cc's. And it's got that power sharp feature, which means you could sharpen the chain without having to take it off. You could sharpen it right on the saw with this sharpening feature. So we're going to try to get this thing running. And like with any small engines, you got to have 3 things. You got to have compression, you got to have spark, and you got to have fuel. So I'm going to take the air cleaner off. Take a look in here, and of course the air filter is missing, and the air filter went down in here, which was just a piece of foam, a block of foam, so we can make that. And somebody been in here messing around. All right, there we go. That's how it's supposed to be, like that. So first thing I'm going to do is give it a little shot of some dinosaur farts, and let's see if this thing will run and die real quick. And if it does, then it's a fuel issue, carburetor. Oh, and I wanted to start right away. So there you have it. We know it's got compression, and we know it's got spark. So it's probably the carburetor. So let's take a look inside the fuel tank here. The fuel line's still there. It's still intact. It's hard as a carp. My flashlight. Tank don't look too bad. Looks like there's some old fuel in there. I can see the tank filter is still on the end of the fuel line. So I'm going to spray some carb spray in there. And I'm going to spray that tank filter. And we'll swish that around. And I thought I had a jar around here. There we go. Oh, isn't that lovely? Now I'm sure the diaphragms and stuff in the carburetor are probably hard as a carp. But just for the heck of it, let's put some dinosaur cocktail in there. Gas and oil mix. And see if we can get it to start. But I highly doubt it. As old as this thing is. Now I guess this is a collectible model. I talked to that friend of mine, Mark. That's an antique chainsaw collector. And he collects toolings. And I guess this is a desirable saw to collect. And we got Skippy's little cruise control on there. This is the oiler. I'll have to put some oil in it and see if that works. But let's see if we can get it. You know what needs some lubricant is this recoil. I got some Croil in here. In this spray bottle. And here's the spring. Here's the end of the recoil spring right there. So I'm going to try to spray some of that down in there. See if that helps. Oh yeah, that helps some. Not pumping up any fuel. Alright, so let's take the carburetor off. So right there, looks like 5/16. Maybe we just need to do a simple rebuild. Might have to replace the fuel line. That thing's stuck on there. There we go. All right. I'll see if I can get that fuel line off. Might have to use Mr. Heat Gun. Probably just gonna end up replacing it. Let me just cut it off of here. And then the link is in the second hole. There we go. Now this is a reed valve engine. See, there's the reed down in there. And it seems to be closed up. I bet you just everything is hard in here. hard as a carp. So let's take this off. Diaphragm side. It's not that hard. Still a little pliable. Huh. That's actually good. Let's look on this side. Maybe the fuel line just got cracks in it and it wouldn't pump up the fuel. This is the pump side. That's what that little hole is for. Takes in the, from the crankcase, see that hole there? That lines up with that, so as you pull it, the vacuum from the crankcase pumps the fuel on this side of the carburetor. And this is a, what is this? This is a Tillotson. It's not a Walbro or a Zama. This is a Tillotson. Made in Toledo, Ohio. Tillotson, Toledo. And this is a, looks like it's an HU. Yeah, it's an HU carb. Oh, look at that. Nastiness. See, these are the little flapper valves for the fuel pump. And there's some old fuel there. And that's right where our inlet comes in. Oh, hear that? Oh, I got a Q-tip. I'm on a Q-tip. I have to get some Q-tips. Yeah, look at that. Gumminess. That's all it is. Here's our little screen that was in here. So like I said, this isn't really in that bad a condition. See if I can pop this off. I don't know if I got a kit for this. Let's put it back together. Gotta clean that out. That nastiness out of there. I should probably replace the fuel line. All right. Put this back together. Now I'm going to pull that recoil off because the fuel line looks like it runs through here to get back to the tank. Let me spray a little carb spray in here, make sure that this needle isn't sticky. I removed the 3 screws that hold the recoil on. And here's the fuel line. It's still intact. It's just hard. Hard as a carp. Oh, look at these little pawls are a little sticky. That one's not. This one is. I'll try to clean that up with some carb spray. There we go. Starting to move. Should move like that. There we go. It's just a little sticky. This one still seems a little sticky too. And let's take a look at this. Yeah, this seems to be freed up now, since I sprayed that Croil in there. Just needed a little lubricant. I'll take a scraper and scrape all this crap out of there before I reinstall it. But here we go. Here's the fuel line. I'm going to dump this mixture out. We'll dispose of that. So I'm going to have to get probably Mr. Heat Gun, so I can warm this up and get it out. So let me go get Mr. Heat Gun. Mr. Heat Gun! Where are you? Hey, Mr. Heat Gun, how are you today?
Oh, I'm good, Taryl. What do you have for me to heat up today?
Oh, I got some hard fuel line that we have to soften up with your stinky breath.
Oh, that's nice. I like heating up hard fuel line. Where's it at? I'm gonna blow my hot stinky breath all over it.
It's right here on this chainsaw.
Oh, right here? This one here?
Yep, that's the one, Mr. Heat Gun.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll blow my stinky hot breath all over it and help you get that fuel line out.
You're a good man, Mr. Heat Gun.
I'm not a man. I'm a heat gun.
Watch where you're aiming that breath. All right. Done breathing your stinky breath on there? All right, it's coming out. So, what I'm going to want to do... Get it, boy! Woo! So, don't have to try to get the other one in there. I'm going to want to hook another piece of fuel line to this old one, and as I pull the old one out, it'll suck the new piece of line in. So I need to know what size this fuel line is. So I'm going to cut it and get my drill gauge and size it, and then I'll go get me a piece of fuel line. So I cut the fuel line, and I got my drill gauge, and it looks like it's 5/32. So I'll go to my fuel line over there, and I'll find me some 5/32 fuel line, because it's got to fit tight in here. This is where it makes the seal, is in the fuel tank. So I found me a roll pin. Where's my drill gauge? So I can tell you what size it is. It's like a 7/64 roll pin. You could use a screw, just something that you could use as a connector. And then I'm going to cut this off where it went on the carburetor because it's all flared out. Plus I'd cut into it. Mr. Heat Gun, I'm going to need your stinky breath again.
I am right here, ready to warm it up.
hold this end. I don't want to cut through it. There we go. Pushing on the new fuel line and lightly tugging on the old one, because I don't want my... All right, Mr. Heat Gun. Let's see here. We're right there. Should be coming through. There we go. And then I was able to pull that through. All right. Now, let me warm up. Come on, Mr. Heat Gun.
Okay, I'm ready.
Warm up the piece that's going into the tank. There we go. All right, I got to get that filter off the end. Spark tester out of the way. Now that we got it warmed up, I'll just pull it out that way. And there's the fuel filter. Doesn't look that bad. It is bad. Look at that. What the heck is in there? Where's that little pick tool at? That little dental tool. Look at that crap. What is that? This thing is garbage. All right, so now we'll just cut an angle on the end of it like a needle. So that way it'll help us to get it into the tank. So I want to kind of spray a little spray on there. Try to get some of that debris away from that hole. And then plus, let me get my air blower. And then we'll blow it out too. So if there's any nastiness in there. Alright, now we got the tank. Tank's all nice and clean. Alright, so this fuel line doesn't fit real tight. But it kind of, it doesn't fit real tight in there either. I'm going to need some heavier fuel line because we got to make a seal in there. It's going to leak. So let me try to find another piece of fuel line that's just a little bit bigger. So I got this rotary branded Echo fuel line, which is a little bit bigger. It's 13/64 is kind of loose. So we said it was 5/32, the old stuff. So we're up a couple sizes. Let's see how tight this fits. Again, I had to cut it back. Where's my little cotters? What did I do with my little cotters? Here they are. So I'm gonna have to skin this back quite a bit. Because this is the only fuel line I got. I don't have anything that's in between. So I skin it back kind of far, excuse me, and then I'll take my hemostats and reach in there. That's why you gotta skin it back, so you got something to grab onto. There it is, I see it now. Because we want a tight seal. See, I broke off the part I skinned back. But it seems like it started going through. Spray a little lube on it, kind of help it. And by twisting it, I don't have anything in stock that's a little bit bigger than that 5/32 and smaller than this other size, this 13/64. Oh, my spark plug necklace is stuck in there. If I can get enough of it through, I have to look into maybe getting some other sizes of this stuff. There we go. Alright, now I got it. Now when you pull on it, it kind of makes it smaller and it'll slide through better because you're stretching it. Well, that's what we want. We want a tight seal. Alright, so now I can cut that off, make it square. Now, is it going to fit through this hole? It looks like it should. So now I got to pull this back through. So let me cut this off. And is that going to fit in there? No, that's kind of big now. I may have to pull the flywheel so I can route the fuel line, because it's got to go behind the flywheel and then through here, and I've got no way of linking it to pull it through. Alright, so let me just pull this out, since that's not going to work. And I'll pull the flywheel off and we'll snake a piece of this through. Let me make sure I cut enough of this off. Now this is the stuff we sell in our online store. Just rotary branded Echo fuel line. All that stuff is pretty much about the same, because of this crappy gas we got nowadays. Alright, I gotta get my impact and zip that nut off. It's over here. Zip the nut off. This is a cup washer, so it puts tension on it. Then I'm going to put the nut back on, and I just want it flush. I need to hold these out of the way. Excuse me. Wonder if these will work. These little alligator clips. I'm going to kind of hold that out of the way. Then I'm going to use this brass bar. See? Just gave it a little tap. So while we're under here, might as well look at the points, because it did have spark. Oh man, them points are like brand new. They got one little spot on them. So I'll clean them with some paper since I'm under here. So this is where this goes, through here. And it's fitting kind of tight in there. So that's going to be a problem. And then it goes up through here, which is right here. I want to see how tight that is. Let's see. It's hard for y'all to see in there. All right. So I'm going to drill this out so that fuel line goes through there. What did we say? 13/64? Let me find a drill bit. 13/64 drill bit. I gotta get the other end. And then we got to bring it up through here. I need a longer drill bit. I'll drill that out too. Let me find a long. Here's one. That way it'll go through there easier. Let me cut it like a needle. There we go. Now I can see it. All right. There's our fuel line. Now it's out of the way of the flywheel. See how it tucks in right there? We don't want it too tight. We don't want any kinks in it. So we had to do a little modification. And then, like I said, while I'm in here, there's a piece of paper. A little carb spray on there. Now I was thinking, you know, we got electronic ignition, we got points. You know, even though points and condenser wear out, they're wear items. That's why they went to electronic ignition. I actually like a points ignition better because it sparks easier at lower RPM. A lot of these electronic ignitions, you know, you gotta spin that thing at a certain amount of RPMs to get it to spark. But on these point ones, you know, as soon as you rock it past the, you know, on the magnet past the laminates, you know, you can get it to jump that spark. So you gotta, seems like you got a better, hotter spark at a low RPM, which to me means it's gonna start easier and faster. Snap that on, make sure that's snapped in there. Got our little Woodruff flywheel key. We don't want that little guy to fall out on us. We're locked in. We're not rubbing anywhere. Cup washer on there. We don't have to hammer down too tight on this. We don't want to break the flywheel. That should be tight enough. All right. There's our dinner. I'll put the fuel filter on the end. We'll put the carburetor back on. Put this cover back on. Get rid of that fuel. Put some dinosaur cocktail in there and see if this thing will start. Got the carburetor back on. Now I'm going to put a new tank filter in. And this is a little 1/8 filter. Replaces some of these old home lights. It's a Stens brand. Got the little weight to hold it down in the bottom of the tank. I don't know if this is going to be too long, a hose. Let me see. No, that looks good. Oops, my finger almost got stuck in there. Want to make sure that's laying in the bottom there. So I got that flashlight. Yeah, it's laying in there nice. It's laying over here, where the other one was kind of short. I wonder if somebody might have replaced this line at one time. All right, so let's put the cover back on. I give it a little pull to get it to lock onto those holes. Come on. There we go. I took off Skippy's cruise control. Put those screws back in. Whatever I did with them. Put them on my little tray. Now, this type of carburetor, you got to adjust with the air filter cover off, because when you put the cover on, there's no slots to get to the adjusting screws. So some of these saws, because when you put the air cleaner in, it kind of restricts the airflow and it runs different. So you got to keep taking the cover on and off to get the carburetor properly adjusted. But I didn't mess with any of the adjustments. I just, took it apart and cleaned it. I didn't put a kit in it. We'll see how it runs. It may run crappy. I may have to put a kit in it. Hopefully I've got a kit, because this thing is so old. I don't have a lot of kits for this older stuff. May have to find one or order one. Go on the inner screen. Since we don't have clear fuel line on there, we're not going to be able to see if it's pulling the fuel up. But we should know something after I pull it a bunch of times. Probably give it a little more lubrication. We got the switch on. It's not starting. See if that'll help pull some of the fuel up. What a piece of crap. Hope this thing don't have bad seals. Alright, let's see where these screws are. Not even one open. There's one. That was 1 1/4 basically. I'll go 1 1/4 on each one of them. See if that helps. Not picking up any fuel. May have to put a kit in it. Luckily this thing comes off easy enough. Let's see if there's any fuel in the carburetor. Picking up any fuel out of here? I know I got a little tiny syringe somewhere. Where's my little syringe at? Let me try this one. Got a little one, I could see if it'll draw any fuel out of the tank. Come on. Yeah. Pull a little gas out. Try that again. Wish I had a better syringe. Let me see if I can find my other syringe that'll sit on there tighter. I can't find my little syringe, so I'm going to try to blow some air through the tank. There we go. Alright. So it probably needs a kit. It's not pulling up the fuel when we're cranking on it. I had this before on one of these, on one of those little, they use these tillets and carburetors on those little post hole diggers, ice augers, post hole diggers. And these little flapper valves was bad. There's still some more crap coming through there. So I found this Stens kit. It's for a Tillotson DG1HU or DG2HU. So I think this is the same kit that we need. Yeah. Yeah, this is the kit. All right. Well, this is going to go on first. So you always want the diaphragm against the... So we'll take this off. And then the gasket goes on the cover. Well, let me spray this thing out because I saw some more of that residue in there. Come on, there we go. Flip it around a bunch of times till you get it to line up. All right. And then I'll go ahead on the other side, put the diaphragm in. Gotta have parts. A lot of times you think you can fix this stuff without any parts just by taking it apart and cleaning it, and sometimes that's not the case. I wish it had one of those harder plastic type fuel pump gaskets instead of this rubber one. Yeah, you can see I cleaned it, but yet there's still some of that stickiness on there. Now you see why a lot of shops won't work on chainsaws and weed eaters, and sometimes it's just a waste of time. It's like, you know what, I could be working on a tractor and making more money than messing around with some junk $99 weed eater. Yeah, here's another problem. Looks like our needle is stuck down. That should be up. Look at that, it's stuck down. What's going on here? I think somebody might have been in here messing around. Try loosening that screw. It should have been flooding out. With that needle being open. Alright, now this is the delicate part. Now I gotta get my chair. This is the part that sucks. Cover up those little holes, because we don't want to lose that little spring that's underneath here. You got big sausage fingers. You're not going to want to be messing around in here. We're going to be changing all this. Let's get this gasket off. We don't want to lose that little spring. Huh. Look at the tip of that needle. It's all swelled up. It wasn't gonna let no fuel through. That ain't supposed to be like that. I've got a jar that's got a bunch of needles in it. So yeah, that's another reason we weren't getting any fuel. All right, let me get my jar. That thing is all swelled up. I got this jar that's got a bunch of needles and hinge pins and those levers. Take this coffee can lid. There, that looks like one right there. Well, that one looks like it's used though. Or maybe it's just dirty. Here's another one. There's that needle. See the difference? See how that other one's all swelled up? Alright, I found another one that had a black tip on it. So I'm gonna use that one. So we gotta hook it in to that lever. And I need to put that spring back in here first. We'll just drop that in on top. Being careful not to let that spring go boing. All right. So now it's going to let our fuel through. Now I don't have a gauge for this. I don't have a Tillotson gauge to set this metering lever. I'm sure it's fine. Got a big enough nub on there. It should be pushing on that lever. Gasket, then the diaphragm. And now the cover. I wonder why I didn't catch that when I took this cover off the first time. I didn't even catch that lever was down. I bet you all at home caught it on your big screen TVs. Look at that lever's down, Taryl. Taryl, that lever's down. There'll be like 50 comments. Taryl, lever's down. Taryl, lever's down. Yeah, after the video's already over and I got it running. You're going to tell me something that we found out later in the video. Taryl, the lever's down. There's going to be some smart guy that's just going to put that in the comments anyway because I'm saying it. Taryl, lever's down. You don't think I read the comments, but I read them sometimes. Sometimes. All right. Might as well put a new gasket on it. Since this one's hard as a carp too. And it comes with a new gasket. Like a universal gasket. Usually these gaskets just pop right off. This one, like glued on there. Make sure we get it all off. Like my new gasket scraper. So this gas cap is supposed to have what's called a little duck bill rubber thing in there, because there's the vent and you can see it goes right through. So of course this thing would have been leaking fuel out of the cap. So let me get that little dental tool again. If I don't already have it laying out here. Here it is. And I can pop this little retainer out of here. maybe. I know I don't have one of these caps. Maybe this guy. There we go. It was this guy. All right. Now I got to get all this old, what's left of that duckbill out of there, that duckbill valve, because it rotted off. Give me shop air. So on one of those catalogs I got, either Sten's or Rotary, they sell these little duckbill valves. I don't know if they still do. I've had them for a while, but this is the one we need. See, it's got a little, it gets pressure on it, it opens it up. And this is some other type of valve. I forget what these are for. I think I found them in some new old stock parts, so I threw them in there. Here's a bigger one for something else. A bigger duckbill valve. So this is the one that fits in there. So what did I do with that little clip I just popped out of there? Probably lost it. Here it is. Working with all this teeny tiny. Is this even the right one? Might have been smaller than this. Oop, I don't want to drop that clip. Come on. Yeah, working with this stuff. That's why, if it's a hobby for you, it's for you to do, not for me to do. I'm just showing you. There we go. Now I'm going to need a small socket to push that back in there. To seat that back in. So I'll get me a small socket. The cameraman will get the heck out of my way. So I found this little 3/16 socket that fit in there. We kind of get it in position. And there's your dinner. New duckbill installed on the gas cap. Alright, let's see if it'll start now without giving it any help. Get any gas up there? Come on. There we go. Alright, I got it real rich. This is the high speed. The one always closest to the engine is the low speed. Remember that. So that was like 1 1/4. I'm going to turn that in. And this one wasn't open quite 1. And I opened it to 1 1/4. Let's see what happens. Now I can hold it with one hand and throttle it. Alright, so you notice when I was throttling it, it was hesitating. That means it's not transferring the fuel from the low speed circuit to the high speed circuit, because I closed it up. So I'm going to open it up some more. I'm going to open it back up to that 1 1/4 mark. Sounded like it was a little rich on high. So this is high, the back one. I'm going to turn it all the way in again till it stops. Half a turn. Let's go about 7/8 of a turn. See what happens. All right, our idle screw here isn't even touching. It looks like it's backed out quite a bit. So let's turn it in. We can get it to idle high so we can adjust the carburetor, then we can always back it off. Piece of crap runs pretty good. Started right up without, having to hold the throttle on or doing anything. All right, so we got that done. It runs. Now it runs. Let's see if this oiler works. Now, I'm not sure if this has got an automatic oiler and that also helps, or if this is just a manual oiler and you have to pump it while you're running it. I don't want to come there. Whoa, there we go. I don't want to overfill it, make a mess. So look at that oil fill. Look at that cap. Look familiar? Looks just like a Briggs and scrap 'em oil plug for like a 4-cycle engine. Here's our oiler button. There is a clear hose down in here. Oh, it's pumping. I seen it. I seen the oil go through and it built pressure. So now we should get oil to come out of here. There's some, see? There's oil on the chain. Yep, there's oil on the chain. Oh yeah, look, there's oil coming out. See it? Oiler works. All right, so let's go over this sharpener thing. So this knob here is what adjusts the stone, the sharpening stone, to come down on top of the chain. Because if you look at the chain, it sharpens the top of it. See it? See the top of the chain? So it rubs on top. So it sharpens this part of the chain. Where's my little screwdriver? This is the part of the chain that gets sharpened. So as you turn this knob, that advances the stone that's under there. I'll probably take this cover off to show you. So this is a locking position. So what you do is you take it out of this position, and as you're revving the saw up, you pull this back, and it pushes that sharpening stone to the top of it. Now watch, as I rotate it by hand, see it's not making any noise, and then when I pull it back, hear it? It's rubbing on top of there. Now if you're doing that and it's not making that noise, or it's not sharpening the top of it, then you advance this knob. It clicks. There's clicks on it. You can't hear them. See, now right now I got it backed all the way off. I got it pulled all the way up. But you can feel the little clicks. And if you turn this thing down too much, it'll actually make contact with the top of the chain. And then you also do that to dress the stone that's under there. Ooh, that thing's sharp. I should be wearing gloves, but you know me. Danger. Did I cut myself? It grabbed me a little bit. All right, so now I'm gonna make an air filter. Let me blow this out, because there's bits of old air filter from it deteriorating. So usually in the past, when I've made these air filters for this, I would use a Lawn Boy air filter, because Lawn Boy made square air filters for their later model. Like here's one for a Lawn Boy that I've cut up already. This was an Oregon branded one. It was for a Lawn Boy. Probably a D engine. Here's one for another Lawn Boy that I cut on. I think this was for like an F engine. It was bigger. But see, it's like a cube, see? And that's what fit in there, is an air filter. So here's the part number for this one from Stens. So if you got one of these old saws and you're having a hard time finding an air filter, you can buy one of these Lawn Boy ones. You probably make 3 air filters out of it. Because I'll just stick this in there like that, and then I'll just cut this off with a pair of scissors. So if I cut this thing in half, that's enough for two air filters. Then we'll put that cover on. We'll hear how it runs. It's kind of dark out right now, but tomorrow I'll throw some wood in my truck, and tomorrow we'll take this thing out and we'll cut some wood with it, and well, I'll do this sharpening with it now. But let's cut this in half and let's make our air filter for it. So there, I cut this in half. Now I got 2 air filters for this thing. Now we got to line this up, because this is our choke. So that's got to fit between that little fork there. And then I want to flip it so I can make sure I can hear that choke opening and closing. These aren't bad little saws. I had one of these. It didn't have the auto sharp on it. The only thing that kind of sucks about it, it doesn't have any kind of anti-vibration mounts on it. So it's a little hard on the hands. You can definitely tell the difference if you've run this chainsaw, say, for a good half hour to an hour, and then you grab a modern, say like a modern still top handle saw and start cutting with it, you could tell the difference immediately in your hands when you're running one of these that has no anti-vibration stuff on it. Alright, see? Getting a little hesitation there. So now I gotta take the air cleaner cover off and open up that low speed a little bit. It sounds like it's running a little rich on high. So now I got to close the high speed up a little more. See what a difference choking it down like that? Old technology. So now I close up the high. Now I got to open the low a little more. Just a little bit. Plenty of oil on that chain now. It must have an automatic oiler. Maybe not. I don't know. I just sharpened the chain. See those sparks come out? Man, that's sharp too. I can feel it. It's a little loose. I'll have to tighten her up. Another thing, it's 1/4 inch pitch. That's like carving chain. Yeah, I guess it's got an automatic oiler because it sure is oiling like crazy. So I need an Allen wrench. Well, let's take this cover off because you're going to want to see this little sharpener. So there it is. So there's your sharpening stone right here. Let me wipe this away. So you move it over, and you're flipping this thing forward, and that stone is rubbing on the chain. And then here's that knob. So as you turn that knob, that's letting this thing come more forward. And when you turn it back, you know, that's limiting how far it's going to go. So that's how that one works on this. I know McCullough had one too. It had a button where all you did was push the button and the button would just rub. The button had this material on it. And then Oregon came up with one. I've got some up front where it would mount on the front of the bar, and it was spring loaded and had something like this on it. And you would just push on the end of it, and as the chain's spinning around, it would sharpen the chain. Chains is exactly the same. We'll get that out and I'll show that to you. Power sharp or something. I think it was called the same thing. It's this. Power sharp. All right, so let me tighten up the chain. Now this is kind of rare that this is all complete. So a lot of times you'll find these saws and that power sharp feature will be missing. We just got to tighten it up a little bit. Just want to make sure you got, you know, the chain kind of snaps back. You don't want to over tighten it. That puts a lot of wear on the tip and on the drum. But you know, the laws of physics, something gets hot, it's going to expand, and when it expands, it stretches. That's why a lot of chainsaw chains get all stretched out, because knuckleheads are too lazy to sharpen it or take it off and put a new one on. They keep trying to cut with a dull chain, then they wonder why their chains stretch out, and they're hitting the dirt and everything else with it. They're doing it, you know, they're improperly using the tool. Well, my chain's all stretched out. Because you're cutting dirty wood, or you're cutting in the dirt, or you're cutting with a dull chain. And you're building up heat, and it's getting hot, and it's stretching the chain out. All right, so there we have it. Now we need some wood. We'll take it out tomorrow, and we'll cut some wood with it. But it runs, and it works, and it's in nice shape. Look, it's even got the little Oregon sticker on there from the 70s. Replace chain with factory recommended Oregon. So they just rehashed that again in the mid-2000s, and I don't think it took off. Their little power sharp idea. I'll go grab one. I got one. Never sold it, and I'll show you how that thing works. So here, they still make it even today. This is their new version. I think they still make it. I don't know. It kind of didn't take off, but they still call it power sharp. But this part, you got to have the bar, and you got to have their chain, and they give you an extra stone, because this bar has got a hole in the top. I don't want to take this all out, because this is brand new. But this thing's got this clip on it. It releases the pin. You slide this onto the front of the bar. That thing locks this power sharp thing onto the head of the chainsaw, and here's that little plunger. So you're running the saw, you push this against a piece of wood, and it engages that sharpening stone against the chain. Basically what that thing's doing, but you have to have this separate part. So look right here. There's the bar, it's got those holes in it. This is the power sharp thing, which you got to attach to the front of the bar when it gets dull. And then when you push on that plunger, it pushes this sharpening stone against the head of it. Now the only difference is one of the teeth on the chain has a diamond tooth on it. And what that diamond tooth does is it dresses that stone, so the stone doesn't get clogged up with debris, and it keeps it sharpening. You know, it'll make sure it dresses it. That one tooth on the chain, like this tooth, This tooth would do the same thing if I bit you with it. This is a diamond tooth. It would, it dresses that stone. I mean, it's kind of a good idea, but the only thing is you got to change your bar, and see, there it is. There's a picture of it. There's the stone. That's it, hooking to the guide bar. It works. I mean, it does work. Because when they brought it here and demonstrated it to me, they took a cinder block, they took a chainsaw, they cut a piece of wood with it, they took it, dulled the chain on the cinder block, put that thing on it, pushed it up against the log, resharpened the chain, took that thing off, and cut through the log again. So it does work, but you just gotta switch all your saws over to those bars and those chains. But it does work. All right, so we got it running. Woo! It runs. It lives again, and it's an antique. And I used to give these to that friend of mine that collects these saws, but guess what? All this stuff now is going in the Taryl Museum when we get the new edition done. We'll have all this stuff on display now. I'll give it a pressure scrubber, make it look real nice and clean. And tomorrow, we will cut some wood, and then we'll give it back to Skip Dog. All right, let's fire it up, fire it up, fire it up! Works all right for a 50-some-year-old chainsaw. So, got it running. And it works again. It lives again. It lives again. The Craftsman pull-on chainsaw lives once again. Well, if you like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, Taryl Fixes All. Go to our web store. We got all kinds of stuff. Gas and oil. Camo shirt. Uh-oh. What'd I do? Cut myself. Nicked myself. Follow me with your antique chainsaws. Don't chase me with them. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! Got this old turd going again. It's a stinky turd, but now it smells good.
Hey, hey, hey.
Skippy! Is that you over there?
It's me. You got my saw done, Taryl?
Yep, it's all ready. Where's that beef sandwich you promised me?
I ate it on the way over. I'm sorry. You can get yourself one with this tent.
That'll just cover the beef sandwich. That ain't gonna cover the fries.
Well, I'm sorry. That's all I got. I'll get you next time.
Well, here's your saw. All fixed.
Here you go.
And here's your cruise control.
Oh, you saved my cruise control.
Yeah.
Great.
Everything works. It oils. The auto sharp works. It's all nice and sharp. It
Wow.
runs good. Got new air filter, new fuel line, new fuel filter. Rebuilt the carburetor.
Great.
It runs actually really good for as old as it is.
Okay, great. Well, can I get a CJ8Y before I go?
You got it, buddy.
Eh.
Hey.
I'll just put this in my car now, okay?
Okay.
Eh.
Okay.